Hello, friends, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. We hope this finds you happy, healthy, and happy New Year. Welcome back to the New England Camp Podcast. Again, I am your, I guess host so far, but I guess I've just been the first voice you've heard. Bud with ACA New England, Director of Membership and Engagement, and I'm in for a treat today. What's funny is the person joining us today. Most of you know her, but for those of you who don't, you're going to get a good introduction today. And her and I guess, in the college sports world, they call it the dean of coaching, who's been there the longest. It's you and me. So welcoming in today, Kerry Salvo. Kerry, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I think it's the first time I've actually had my voice recorded other than doing e-sessions in a very long time. So,
We started basically the same week back in 2017.
yeah, I think maybe a week apart, maybe right before Thanksgiving and after Thanksgiving. So, yeah.
I wore a suit to my interview. Anyways, if you have not met Kerry, this is what I'd like to do. So, welcome in today. Thank you for taking a chance. Some of you are on a treadmill, you're on a Peloton, you're in a car, you're taking a walk, you're doing your emails, wherever you are. Again, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, share, whether this is YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or if there's another party out there streaming us. Thank you for the love. But then, if you have, so today we want to reintroduce Kerry because not everybody has met Kerry. So we've been kind of going through this first season, introducing the team, sharing our quick stories. And then one of Kerry's main functionalities here is one of the biggest things that we do, spoiler. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then ultimately how experiences in that realm have led to something new and exciting. But to start it off with, Kerry, I want you to tell I feel like I mean, it's 10 years is a long time. So I don't want to preface anything. How do you introduce yourself? What's your cup of coffee story, the Kerry Salvo story?
Yeah. Officially now is Director of Programs and Strategic Partnerships at ACA New England. I started as Director of Education and Professional Development. So my background is actually primarily in the out of school time and urban day camp space. So I went to college, studied sociology and French, have spent some time in France. That's for another day, but love all things French, and really got into volunteering in an after-school program at a satellite boys and girls club in the greater Boston area. And that is what sparked my love for out-of-school time programming and completely, I think, changed my trajectory for my career. So left college, did a couple years as an AmeriCorps Vista member, very important kind of life-changing experience for me, and then went back and got my master's degree in education policy and management with a focus on out-of-school time programs. And so that really led me to running a 21st Century Community Learning Center grant program for the Portland Public Schools up in Maine, where I'm from, then transitioned to working at the YMCA, doing summer camp, but also after school, and as everyone who works at Y knows, all the things that come with that, childcare related, kind of wore every hat there could be, learned to be, very flexible and a team player. And then I kind of got sick of direct service. I'm not going to lie, it's hard, right? Those of us working with young
It is
people,
hard
it
in
is
the
tough.
trenches.
And so I took a break from that and went to work for City Year Boston for about 4 years on their executive team. City years all throughout the country. They have AmeriCorps members serving in schools, working with young people at risk of kind of the long-term not graduating high school because of academics behavior and those type of challenges. And so worked supporting them. Missed working with kids, surprise, surprise, went back as an after-school director for a little bit at a campfire here in Massachusetts, and then kind of stumbled into this job. I've always really, really loved coaching and developing a young staff team. My staff were high school, college students, what many of you working at camp experience, and I just got a lot of joy in teaching them to become professionals, figuring out like, wow, working with kids but maybe not in a school setting is like what turns that light bulb on for them. And so when this position came up and it was like planning trainings for people that support young people all the time in the out of school time setting, it was a perfect fit, and I kind of stumbled onto it, but super lucky that I found it. I'm going to be honest, never worked for an accredited camp before, didn't really know much about ACA when I started here, but I am a huge champion now, that is for sure. While my background's in kind of the more urban and day camp settings, I've had the awesome opportunity to get out to see. I should have counted before we got on here, but
It's got to be pushing 50. Yeah.
probably over 100,
10
well
years.
over 100 of our camps in the last 8 years throughout the summer. So if I haven't been to your camp and you really want me to come, shoot me an email. I start planning early, but love getting out and about just to see all the great stuff. So it's kind of a long cup of coffee intro, but hopefully it touched on all of the key things.
What I love about this is the balance that you and I bring to this team. If you've been listening or paying attention, a lot of my background is in the overnight camp space, and not necessarily whether it's urban, but after school programs, professional development. I'm much more of your membership guy, services and that stuff. So if you have not, if any of that is triggered and you're like, I didn't know that about Kerry. Kerry is a wealth of information. Networking is her jam. If you have a question, she makes it her mission to either find the answer or find a path for you to get the answer. So whether it's in the city, out in the country, overnight day camp, we've got you covered here with the two of us. And then, of course, everybody's met Haley, or you're going to meet Haley. You've met Jillian, you've met Ayla, Michelle. So we got a big team here. We're proud of this team. And one of the biggest, and I like this, Kerry, that's a great, I guess, succinct background, which really nuts and bolts. If you know the two of us too, that was very on personality for her. Mine don't get through that quick. But one of the biggest aspects of your role here is the New England Camp Conference. It is the oldest running camp conference. Now it's my voice going on in the country. It's an intimate gathering of up to 1,000 people for 3 days in Manchester, some 4 if you're coming for the pre-con stuff. And you literally just about 45 minutes ago, or whatever it might be, just got off a planning committee call. So other than this is the one that I know off the top of my head, registration is open. If you're listening to this, registration is probably still open. If you're not, if this is like July and you're just catching up, hope you had a nice summer. But registration is open. The early bird deadline is coming up. It is when, Kerry?
February 5th.
There we go. February 5th.
It's not a Friday. It's a Thursday. I know a lot of people think Friday, but we like to not have you go into the weekend forgetting to do something. So we do it on a Thursday.
And then there's a lot of folks who might get that notification on February 1st that your membership is lapsed. I will be your point of contact for there. Give me a call. We'll get you squared away. But the early bird's coming up. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in the conference this year. And so I want to kind of just pick at that for a second. Where would you like to, if anything, start, put a shine on, and we'll go from there?
Yeah. One of the big picture things, just hearing you mention registration and membership, that I always like to highlight is that our conference committee is an amazing group of 24, I think, this year, volunteers. Most of them work in camp or camp adjacent roles or have been in camping and want to stay connected. They do it as volunteers. But one of the things, and we talked a lot about this today, that is such a huge focus of our conference is that feeling of community and belonging. Like, I like to say, it's 800 to 1,000 of your closest friends. Like, it really feels that way. And we want our conference to be accessible to everyone. So I know that sometimes, and I think we keep our costs pretty darn affordable if you compare to other conferences of the duration that we have and the quality of sessions, but we do also have scholarships available. And so I like to just throw that out there, like, if finances are a challenge, like, please reach out to us. We want you to get to become part of our community, and we want to help that happen if you need a little bit of financial incentive to do so. So I just wanted to kick off with that because I think sometimes people are afraid to ask, and please don't. We have a pot of money for this. We want to give it away. So if you need help, please ask us. I think a couple of the really cool things that are going on is just the variety of sessions. So our session schedule should be live on our website by, fingers crossed, next week, which would be we didn't plan that, by the way. Mid-January. We're just getting all of our agreements back from speakers and don't want to list them until they've actually told us that they're coming. But you'll notice a variety of folks on that list. One of the things I'm really proud of is how many practitioners in camps are also presenters with us. So yeah, we bring in some of the great folks. We've got Kim Aycock coming back this year. She hasn't been with us in a couple years. We're bringing Hoppy Price back, who was with us a couple years ago, coming from California. So some of those folks that are kind of maybe your bigger names, but then we've also got lots and lots of folks who are working at camp just like you, who are going to be sharing some of what they're doing. So I love that about our program. Also, hot off the presses, it hasn't gone out in a big announcement yet, but Jason Lavasser is going to be our keynote speaker this year. And you may or may not know Jason. He is the founder of the Rockstar Project. He's also a longtime staff member at Camp Tamanis up in Maine, a seasonal staff member of over
One
20
of
years.
us. One of us.
Yeah, and so I'm just really excited he's coming to join us. His keynote this year is going to be called The Rockstar Camp Professional, Celebrating How You Make the Band Better. And I think he's just going to be really inspirational. He's also sticking around to help with an open mic night and karaoke on Thursday night and a breakout session on Friday. He usually travels with a guitar. Music is part of his jam. So I just
Yeah.
think it's going to be really fun, and I'm really excited to, like Bud said, bring kind of someone who's an insider who like totally gets camp to just share some of his insights with us. So that is really cool. The other really cool thing that we're bringing back, that if you've been to the conference for a few years, you might remember from a couple years ago, is an innovation called, we call it PK, Pachakacha, and we're doing program innovations at camp. So this is an opportunity for short snippets for camps to share some really cool things that they're doing at their camp in about a 7-minute format. And those will happen on Saturday morning during an all-conference gathering. Really, when I asked our current committee, like, what do you remember from last time we did PK, they're like, it was just really cool ideas that, like, brought a smile to our face and inspired us to, like, try some of these ideas at our camp. And that's the goal. So we're finalizing what those will be, but that's something I'm also just really excited about. I think it brings, like, an element of fun and inspiration, which is, like, really important as we're, like, gearing up for the summer ahead.
I will say kudos to the committee and to Kerry because they take intentional purpose with trying to make these accessible. And when I say accessible, I mean in all forms of that, including what you, the audience, are able to take away and try. It is all different types of speakers and presentations have their purpose. And this one isn't necessarily for inspiration to aspire to something that you might get to one day if you really, really try. It's much more of a, wow, that looks dope. I think we could do that. So hats off to the committee for this year. And I can't wait to see Jason.
Yeah, so exciting stuff. And I think, one last plug that I'll just put in here is like it takes a village to make this happen. And so our committee is a great group of 24 volunteers. We need lots more hands than that to pull off all of the support for our attendees, our speakers, and things like that. So if you're coming and you're like, hey, I'd love to help out, keep an eye out. We will have a call for volunteers that will come out probably towards the end of the month or early February. And we just love extra people to just get involved with us and help build that sense of community at the conference. It's really not a heavy lift, most of the volunteering.
Very much endorse that call for volunteers. We are nothing without the people who show up and do the doing. So brilliant. One of my favorite parts of the conference is that it also kind of, we see all these people come together, and a lot of teams, this might be the first time their team is getting together for the season. They're going to go their separate ways, go back to their jobs or what they might do in the 10-month, or they might just be a remote team. And so to see that joy in that community to come together, that's really the essence, I think, of the New England Camp Conference. But an overwhelmingly huge, if not foundational element of this conference is the expo hall. Kerry, what is our expo hall? How do you describe it, introduce it to the people?
Yeah, this year, hopefully, we will hit 100 vendors, which would be really awesome for us. And it is a variety of vendors that have products and services for camp. And that is like a huge range, right? So I was kind of running the list before we hopped on here, like what are some of the categories, right? So we've got your traditional, international staffing agencies, insurance companies, banks, lots of software companies if that's something that you're exploring or want to think about. Transportation, so where are you renting your vans from? We got quite a few folks signed up from that kind of area. Field trip destinations, entertainment providers, party rental places, and then lots of t-shirt swag and promo item companies. So that just like names a few of the categories, but there's so much good stuff. And so the expo hall runs Thursday after the keynote into the early evening, and then most of the day on Friday. And really we encourage folks to get out and talk to these vendors. And we tell them, a lot of folks, number one, even if you're not the buyer at your camp, you could be next year, right? You all have aspirations, and so, or you could inform those decision making. So really every conversation is valuable, and if you're listening and you're like, but that's not me, it's totally a great learning experience to go engage with those vendors and even understand what a process of like vetting a vendor and learning about like how they price things and what the ordering process is. It's really valuable. And you know, you just never know when you're going to need something. And I think another piece of our vendor hall that extends beyond the physical time in the hall is that we do have a website with all of our vendors listed that stays up throughout the year.
Always.
And we certainly have had camps who have had mini crises, emergencies, or just forward thinking, right, looking for vendors. And honestly, we always recommend vendors who support us, right? If they're supporting our industry, we want to give them love too, and so we often send people to our site. Another really cool thing, which we have not announced for our vendors yet, so this is hot off the presses and they don't even know, but this year we're going to have a little bit of a booth contest in the hall, best decorated and most engaging, so that'll be something as attendees that you'll get to vote on. So hopefully our vendors will come to play and bring some cool stuff, but we're just always looking for ways to really engage and make sure that you're making genuine connections with folks that truly have products and services that your camps can use.
I'll say the vendor hall is evolved. The expo vendor hall, whatever name you give it, I say it's a good place too. There's places to kind of sit, have conversations, especially when you're in the heat of the moment. You just met somebody. Also, these are the folks that it's because of their support and participation, not just in the vendor hall, but also out writ large. But their participation in the vendor hall is also what helps us kind of keep costs at a manageable, accessible level, because we are able to to do a lot in really an efficient way, in an efficient time period. So shout out to all those businesses and to y'all for swinging by. I challenge you. That's a good challenge. If you have a vendor that's in the vendor, go say hi. Just go say hi. It makes their day. It's good customer relationship from the customer side. And if you happen to bring a friend by, bring a friend by. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
shout out the vendors.
where to start. We have a bingo game that will be
Oh
happening
yeah.
on Friday, so it kind of gives you some like prompts or questions or things to like start those conversations, because I think anytime you're somewhere new and don't like necessarily know people, it can be a little tricky. But I think that is, a good kind of message for the entire conference is like meeting new people is a huge part of being part of our community, and whether that new person is a friend at a neighboring camp or a vendor that might help you out down the road, like pushing yourself to do that is a really great growth opportunity.
Camp as a community, the New England camp community, in my opinion, second to none. I'm openly biased about it. It's not just because they sign my paycheck, but my entire universe is built around everybody I've met, even my wife, etc. And we want this community to continue to grow and expand. And we know that not everything we do is accessible to everybody, or even there's folks that just are looking to dip their toes in the water or get a little bit more, or they're just a simple operation where it's just not the right fit. So we've been listening to some feedback and a lot of hours of conversations with vendors, with businesses, with members, with, what is it that you all are looking for? And, we need a vendor in our backyard. I need to go online. I need to find somebody that's a little more local than what maybe the Google SEO engine has provided. So with that, and I kind of spin it out of that because we want to continue to support our expo businesses and then grow that and keep growing the camp community and the options for you. So, Kerry, we are going to, I guess, formally announce the launch of the New England Business Membership.
Yeah.
Champagne bottles pop, and post-production we'll add confetti and everything like that dropping down, maybe some fake noise. We didn't discuss this off camera, but you want to flip a coin. How did this become a thing?
Obviously, I work with our vendors and I try to sell booths in our hall throughout the year. And so I talk to a lot of vendors, and the conference isn't always a fit. And so we've really been listening to that. There are a lot of different reasons. Some companies are like really small and they just don't have the resources, whether it's manpower, whether it's financial, to do a show like ours, because it does cost a company a little bit of money. Some are looking for a lower price point or another way to kind of reach folks outside of just the 2 days of our expo hall in March. And yes, there's a listing on our website, but the primary, purpose of the vendor hall is that in-person connection. And so I think we've just been hearing some of this and listening, and also realizing that there hasn't really been a program out there that is specific for local businesses to New England. And now I know some of you may say, well, ACA Inc., our national, national overarching ACA, has a business member program, and they do, but it is not specific to New England. And so what we kind of have been hearing, and and they know this is going on. This is not something that we're sweeping out the rug out from underneath them. Is that we want to make sure that we can highlight businesses that really are serving New England specifically, whether they're hyper local and they really are a small business in New Hampshire and their reach is New Hampshire and Maine, and they don't want a camp from North Carolina calling them because they don't have the bandwidth, right? So that's like one piece of it, I think. And another piece is the flip side. Like, you might be a company that your address is listed in Illinois, but you love serving camps in New England, and how do you make sure New England camps know that your service is within their area? And so I think that's kind of where the idea came up, is like, how do we make sure that companies are able to let our New England camps know that they're there for them? That's really the heart of it.
I was double checking the dedicated URL because I was about to say, if anything already, you're like, where do I get this? It should be live on the website when you're listening to this. It'll be in the drop down menu, or you can go to acanewengland.org/business member, just business member, to find out how you can become one. Or if you are a camp and you're like, I've got the dopest donut guy in the world, and while I don't want them to be taken from me, I think other camps could use them. These are the kind of opportunities we'll take referrals. It doesn't have to come directly from the business. If you, we know that some of our board members, shout out Nick, shout out Jeff, they've sent us some folks to say, reach out to these people. They're wonderful. We've had a great experience working with them. And I think this kind of opportunity is really on brand for New England camping. We are community oriented. We are retail in nature. So much of what we do is about, your neighbor and what you hear and what you see. Because I can sit here and tell you, that we're a great organization. If you hear it from other people, we're going to sound even better. Same thing with these businesses. You will meet them, you'll see them. But if you start referring and they start kind of bouncing around the network, you know how it goes. So please.
But another thing I just want to highlight too that I think is a little bit different about this program is, well, from time to time we have consultants by booths in our hall. They don't often. And so this program is also for those of you who are consultants. Right? So if you are a trainer that works with camps, if you are a consultant that offers paid opportunities throughout the year for folks to take trainings or contract with you, there's a space for you with our business member program to do that. I'll be honest, we have a lot of people reach out to us and ask us to list their trainings on our website, and we just cannot do that for everyone. And so I think by including consultants, there will be a couple opportunities to have your things listed. You can pick a few things throughout the year. And also then if camps are looking for people to do their staff trainings, like a section of our website for business members, if you're a consultant, we'll kind of highlight some of the key topics that you provide consulting and training on. And I think that also is a win-win.
I look forward to building that part out because we do have so many talented camp professionals that we work with that are either seasoned consultants or they're looking to get into it, or they might not even call themselves a consultant, but they might be an expert in a certain area that they're willing to share. So I'm super happy. It's been a big positive day. Again, when they say for the deets, as the kids would say, go to the website, acanewengland.org/business members. Or business member, either one will catch it. And at the top, you'll see to learn more here, to schedule a call. You can either hit us, either one of us, Kerry or myself, and you'll see that all of our friends that are in the expo hall are automatically business members. We recognize the value that they provide. And again, kind of the foundational elements for a lot of this came out of the relationships that are strong and develop out of our expo hall. What are we missing?
But to your
Please.
point, right, like that our existing vendors, we are granting them complimentary business membership for this first year to say thank you for supporting us. Like, without your support, like, our conference would not be possible. And so if you're listening to this and you are an expo vendor and you're like, this is the first I'm hearing about it, look for an email that came from me right before the Christmas holidays with a little bit more information and a couple things we need from you all to make sure that we get your listing properly categorized. But I think that is really important that, that we're bringing along our supporters with us. This is not something that they're going to have to add on, for the first year at least. So.
The category part, I'm glad you said that. If you go to that site, you'll see we got 20 different categories, and some of you are going 20. We got people who are saying, "Hey, I don't think I fit into any of these." And you know what? I saw one of them carry, and I'm like, "Dang, they kind of have a point. Like they
They
really
did.
have found that niche." So even if it's that where you don't know the person, but you know the type, this is what these are the gaps we're trying to bridge through this program. All right, let's see here. If you've made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe and share and do all that good stuff. I'm going to say you can hit up anybody, any of our first names at acanewengland.org. Go to acanewengland.org for any of our contact information. When in doubt, we are always here for you. Conference registration is open. I would be remiss if I don't remind constantly, like you said, 1,000 of your closest friends. I had a college t-shirt and it was the University of Georgia and it was about the stadium and it said 96,000 of your closest friends. And that's how I feel about the conference. Support businesses that support New England camps. And whether you're listening to this and you are a business or you know a business, holler at us. And then I got to say one more time from the bottom of my heart, thank you to Kerry and the conference committee, because especially for an old camp dork like myself, the conference week makes me feel like that's my camp week. I would never in a million years try to say it's the same as spending 8, 10, 11 weeks out in the field. I've been there with you, but I will say it reminds me and it gives the exact same level of collegiality, support, fun, energy, and you're exhausted after it and you can't wait to do it all over once again. So, anything on before we depart, Kerry?
Because you know me, I'm the logistics person, right?
100%. Please.
Believes that it's a lower price point than Expo Hall business membership, but I think we probably should say like what does it actually cost for folks that are listening.
Please.
So the value is $399. We are kicking off with an introductory kind of pricing until the end of June. That's just $350. And typically the benefits are going to run September through August. We are basically, if you sign up now, your benefits will be activated when you sign up, and it will go through August of 2027. So for this launch year, you're getting a lot for that money. Obviously not trying to sales pitch necessarily, but just kind of throwing that out there so you don't have to dig around for that information. And if you've been thinking about being a vendor and you're listening, if you sign up, we still have booths available in the vendor hall, and you'll get this thrown in kind of for free that first year. So just
this is what I'm talking about. Right at the top, I said we balance each other out. It's been happening for 10 years. It happened throughout this episode. Kerry, I appreciate you. Lord willing, I'll be back in the office tomorrow. Everybody else, thank you for tuning in. Have a phenomenal day wherever you are.